So I finally did it, and I went ahead and bought my first buy-to-let property after talking about it on this YouTube channel for about a year. I've finally done it, and in this video I'm going to show you a breakdown of all of the figures, including the purchase price, all of the refurb costs, all of the actual purchase costs as I'm buying the property, and how that all works out. And in the next few weeks, really excitingly, I have a brand new camera set up, and I'm going to be able to take you around the property and show you it. So once it's completed, I cannot wait to show you the inside, what we're going to do to it, how we're going to do it, and really get into depth with this refurb buy-to-let project. But first, a little bit about the property itself. So it's a 3-bed semi-detached house, and it's in a really cool area that has 2 primary schools nearby and then 1 secondary school, which is literally just around the corner. So great for families who are looking to live close to the schools in the area. It's actually owned by a tired landlord today, and he just let the property get into a bit of a tired state, and it's very obvious that a smoker lived in the property before as well, because it absolutely stinks in there. For example, the walls I think were white, but they're so stained from the tobacco smoke and the cigarettes that it actually looks magnolia. Or it is a magnolia wall, and actually it's just gone dark magnolia because of the cigarette smoking in the house. So I need to fix all of that. It is purely cosmetic. There's nothing hugely structural. It's just paint, replastering some areas and replacing some blown plaster. All brand new carpets, brand new bathroom, and I think I can salvage the kitchen with a bit of paint and also completely retiling the floor and the walls, and that should bring it up to a really high standard in the area. Overall, the budget is about £9,000 to £10,000 for the total refurb, which covers all of that. There are a few other little areas, like for example, there are a few single glazed windows amongst the double glazing. I'm not sure why it's mixed. So in terms of the costs, I have my phone handy to go through some of the numbers. So I bought the property for £106,000. However, in the area, the average property of this size and of a good standard is worth a minimum of £130,000. So immediately it's already below market value. Now, I knew from looking around the property and giving a rough costing of the refurb that it would cost about £9,000 to £10,000 to refurbish the place and still have enough profit left in at the end of it. So in terms of all the purchasing, the solicitor was £1,300. There's also a personal guarantee as well. So when you buy a property in a limited company, you have to get an independent solicitor to talk you through the risks of the personal guarantee, which basically means that if I stop paying the mortgage, that I, Matt Brighton, am personally responsible for the mortgage rather than the company, the limited company that it sits in. So to be able to sign that, I need to go to a different solicitor. They charge a ridiculous fee, which is around £350 plus VAT on average, to sit there, to be told that you could be liable for the mortgage if you don't keep up repayments, and then they witness and sign, and they charge you £350 for that privilege. There's then the stamp duty, which is £3,180. The survey, which is £300 that I had done, which was a home buyer's level 2 report, just to double check everything was okay. There's then the lender fees, which came to £320, which is a mixture of their valuation along with an admin fee. We then have the broker fee as well, so I'm getting the mortgage through a broker who charged £595 for their services to help get the mortgage and work with the lender. And then there is, of course, the refurb itself, which is £9,000, which gives us a total cost of £15,045 for the actual purchasing cost and the renovation, on top of the £26,500, which is going to form part of the deposit. So all in, it's around £41,500 that I'm putting into the property project. So to really understand the profit, what you have to do is look at what is all of the money going in. So that is my costs plus then the mortgage, which comes to a total of £121,000. And if it's worth a minimum of £130,000, that means on day one, there is already around £9,000 profit in the deal. To work this out as a return on GDV or ROI, all you have to do is take this £9,000 profit and divide it by £130,000 times by 100, which is around, on here, 6.8%. So call it 7% return on investment, which isn't huge, isn't amazing. A lot of investors try to go for a minimum of 20 to 30, but when you're looking at a simple vanilla buy-to-let in a really hot market, it's going to be near impossible to get that kind of cool, fancy deal. So for me, I was really happy with that, and for the first project, it's more about getting stuck in, learning all the ropes, and not taking a too risky project, which then could cost me more in the long run. So for me, it's not as important. But if you work it out a different way and you look at return on the capital employed, because people often confuse the difference between return on GDV or ROI versus return on cost or the money that I put in. So actually, if you do it that way around, that would be £9,000 profit divided by the £41,000 that I put in rather than the entire price of the property. And that works out at 21.5% return on cost, or another variation of ROI. I think that we can rent the property out for about £750 a month. I did originally go for around the 650 range, but actually looking at the area and the standard of the property, plus being a 3-bed and around the corner from a school, I actually think 750 would be a steal for this property. So we'll try putting it on the market, and I'll get that validated by estate agents as well. The mortgage is going to cost £203 a month, and that is purely interest only. Insurance, which is £25 a month, and then any voids and maintenance, which I've gone for 15% because I'm going to self-manage it myself. That is going to come to around £112 a month. So this means when I take the 750 gross rental income every single month and minus all of the costs, this leaves me with just over £400 net rental profit every single month, or just shy of £5,000 a year. So when you look at the yield of the property, again, there are different ways that people work this out. So if I work out the yield based on the gross development value, that comes out at 3.78%, which is quite low. Or if you work out the yield on the purchase price, which is 106, then that comes out at 4.6% yield. So again, two quite low yields. I would have liked to have gone for 10% plus, but for this particular property deal being the very first one, I really wanted to just get stuck in, learn the process, and it's still a deal that's going to make profit. But rather than looking at this as a day one type project, or purely as a buy-to-let, or purely as a flip, instead by combining it as a flip and a buy-to-let, what I'm doing is looking at this as a 2-year project. So actually when you start to factor in everything, so then you take that £5,000 every single year for 2 years, because it's a 2-year fixed mortgage. So that's £10,000 profit in rental income that's going to stay in the limited company. You've then also got the capital appreciation in the area, and at the moment they're getting about 4% a year, which is really, really strong in the north. On top of the original £9,000 profit that I got on day one from the refurb uplift, which actually when you add that all together is around £29,000 of profit after 2 years. So when you look at it that way, actually the figures look really strong. When you look at the return on investment, it's around 32% a year, or just over 60% over those 2 years, because I then turn that £41,000 that I've put into the project into just over £70,000, which is absolutely incredible. So that shows that you don't need to have the strongest numbers in the world, but actually by playing the long game and looking at this a bit more strategically, it can really, really work in your favor, and that snowball can really start to grow. In terms of what's next, I am almost ready to go on the second property. There's about £30,000 that's stored in my own name in a stocks and shares ISA, ready to go on the next property. There's also around £17,000 in the business account that comes from YouTube and Skillshare and the property deal analyzer sales that I'm also going to add to that as well. So I think as this gets closer to £50,000, I'm either going to look at a nice flip deal and really start to push for strong return on investment, or I'm also talking to the local council up north as well about some small plots of land to look at buying the land unencumbered, getting planning permission on the land, and then looking to build some houses with 100% development finance. So bit of a stretch, bit of a jump from the first buy-to-let, but now that I've been there and done that and kind of have the first buy-to-let in the portfolio, I can kind of take a step back and really start to understand what do I want to do next to make sure that I don't just spend all of the money on 2 simple buy-to-let projects. So for me, the next one is all about how do I turn the £50,000 into more through a flip and through a good, strong net return on investment. If you want to see all of the rip out and the refurb of the property, then definitely subscribe to the channel, because I will be uploading loads of videos documenting the entire refurb over the next few weeks as we get stuck in, hopefully in mid-September. If you enjoyed this video, then you'll definitely like this one here, which is my 3D render and going through the plans of the buy-to-let property and the refurb process. So feel free to choose this, and I will see you in the next video.